Hey, what's up, my world history class? We're in week number 4, and we're getting through this week. We're going to have next week, and then the last week, and that's it. So we're coming to the end of this whole. We're halfway through. We're more than halfway through. This week you're looking at Greece, and you're looking at ancient Greece. Just one chapter of reading, but it's so packed full of information because you're looking at the Persian Empire. You're looking at the formation of the Greek Empire. This is stuff that I spent a whole class on that we're doing in a week. So, in fact, we're doing it less because I would do Persian with a couple weeks by itself and do a whole class on the Greeks. So we're rocking through some information here. What I want to talk about in this quick highlights video are 3 things. First off, you should notice if you go to grades and Canvas that a lot of this stuff's been graded for you. And I want an overview of all that information that I'm so proud of you all. There's so many rich answers in your discussions. You're doing a great job. Those are quality critical thinking ways of looking at this text and the readings. Some of you that have actually looked at some of my videos I've made, hopefully it seems like they were useful. This is stuff that at a university level you would be writing about, and you are rocking it. So I want you to be encouraged by that what you are producing in our class, I can honestly say you would be just fine with that information at a major university as well. It's the same sort of questions you would get at this class at that level, which they are doing. So be proud of that. And if you have questions, let me know. If you're missing a few points, maybe elaborating on some stuff is really important. A lot of people, if you see some people in your class that have some long answers and really good, see what they're doing well. See how they're bringing in information from the text, bringing in outside sources of, really the only thing you're expected is from the textbook itself. Maybe the lectures, if you watch it, you could bring in some information there. But any exterior reading is not necessary other than what's in the modules page. But bringing that in and then the critical thinking, if there's a question that has to do with comparing that's maybe not in the textbook, but you have to bring your own answer in, you know, that's where you have to be creative, but you're still using the information from the textbook. So that's a huge part. The other part is the discussion part, and that's the interactive part. So if you comment on at least 2 people's, and you know, I don't really think that just back and forth with one person is the 2. I'm talking about 2 people in your small group and interacting. Sometimes it goes on for a few back and forth things, and I reward that. So 2 minimum. If you do more than that, if there's obvious that you spend a lot of time in it, if it's a long response, if you're adding a lot of information, if you're really having a good discussion, I reward that, and I think that is such an important part of this class when we don't have an actual physical classroom. So good job with that part, and I'm proud of you. But again, questions, if anything that's happening with the grading part, or if you've missed one, communicate with me so you don't get a big fat 0 on the assignment. There's ways that we could work together on that. Okay. Second thing is we're in Greece. We get to be looking at ancient Greece. And even perhaps better and more information too is, which this chapter does well of connecting both together, is the Persian Empire. So these 2 clashes you might be familiar with the movie The 300 and the other 300, which was horrible. But both of them is the same theme that we're looking at with how our pop culture image of the past and what parts of it are real and what parts aren't. No matter what, if you talk to someone about ancient Greece, they're going to talk about identity of Athens, and that's with philosophers like Plato and Aristotle and Socrates and all this. That's in one culture that you might hear about. But then there's the Spartans, and then that's the 300 imagery that you have. Now, going back to what we talked about with the Paleolithic times and the image of the caveman, or maybe when we looked at Egypt and the image of the Egyptian, right, and the pyramids, what's true and what's pop culture's talked about might not necessarily line up. The same as when you look at the 300 and when you look at what's happening in what's happening in ancient Greece. So I hope it starts to break down that image and starts to build something new by looking at it in a historical way. And it's rich. It's so much better. It's always so much better than what has been created through comic books and movies and literature and all that stuff. There's so much going on. If we have time, we can get into the real Homer with the Odyssey and the Iliad, where the movie Troy came out of. and so many other things that are very much a part of our culture today, rooted in this, what we're talking about. And same with Persia and Zoroastrianism and these peoples that are interacting with the Hebrews. The Jews, which is later going to be a foundation of the Christianity identity as well, all rooted in what's happening in this chapter. So have fun with it, read it. I'm going to put a few lectures to bring some information together. I hope you check it out. And you have a discussion not due tomorrow on Wednesday, but going to be due on Thursday because of missing a day. You still have a discussion due on Friday, but both of those will have you the whole weekend to respond and have dialogue. And then next week they'll be due, and I'll expect that you've at least had some interaction over the weekend with those discussion pieces. The quiz will be due on Monday. Originally it was going to be due Friday, but that'll be due Monday. That'll be posted by Thursday, the latest. And then next week we're going to get right into the Mediterranean and what's happening with Rome, what's happening when Rome kind of splits in half and becomes Byzantium, Western European culture, but also starts creating identities that's going to form the Islamic world, and that's our last week. So we're getting through a lot of stuff. I'm hoping it's going well for you. Let me know if there's struggles in any way, or if you're enjoying it even, or if you want more information. I try to leave it, because it's so quick and you have other classes, I'm leaving it at the pretty bare minimum of important stuff, but there's so many other things I would love to give you and to talk about. So if you want that just on your own time, let me know, and I'm happy to talk about it and interact with that. So great job in discussions. Keep it up, rock them. Look what you can expand if you want a few more extra points. Those discussion back and forth is so crucial. Look at this week's reading with Rome and Persia, and interacting with this new cultures that are emerging with this classical axial age, where everything sort of shifts from ancient to a classical period. And again, looking at discussions for this week and getting into next week. And there will be some information about the exam for a couple weeks, so you might want to check that out as well. Any questions, comments, let me know. I'm here. I love talking about this stuff, and I hope you're enjoying your week. Hope the smoke isn't destroying you too much. If it is a health concern, or if anything of that is being a barrier for academics, let me know as well so we can work through it together. Have a great rest of your week, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.